The traditional definition of a subsidy is a benefit given to an individual, business, or institution, usually by the government. A subsidized public, on the other hand, is a model of advocacy in which those with power provide their average citizen supporters resources to act within a targeted campaign. It is made to appear small and grassroots, but in reality, it is being supported and encouraged by actors with political agendas and significant resources.
It's a concept developed by Edward T. Walker, a more nuanced and complex expansion on the concept of AstroTurfing. AstroTurfing is paying or otherwise incentivizing and organizing a group of people to publicly support your cause while they pretend to be an independent grassroots movement. Rather than taking such a big risk, some deceptive, politically motivated actors have gotten sneakier.
Elites, those with power, resources, and political influence, support and augment the existing activism of those who tend to already be involved in the process. Select citizens deemed worthy are targeted and trained for participation. The subsidized public model is primarily top-down organizing and advocacy, which is intentionally made to look like bottom-up organizing and advocacy.
Of course, this doesn't matter to the corporations and dark money groups behind the protests. They don't care how many gullible people actually buy into their propaganda. The only goal is to shift public opinion to benefit their bottom line.
With the subsidized public, they find groups of people who are already organizing for causes like theirs and subsidize them by providing resources, campaign materials, content, and talking points to strengthen their arguments.
What purpose does this serve? People tend to be distrustful of politicians and large corporations as they will obviously have a political or economic agenda. When someone advocating for their social or political cause appears to be a regular person acting independently, skeptical members of the public are more likely to listen to them. However, those chosen subsidized members of the public are not under coercion or overt manipulation. They're often recruited for their already in progress advocacy activities, which independently happen to represent the same cause. Larger political actors seek out smaller advocacy groups or individuals, then provide them with additional resources and support to help advance their mutual goals.
Who might be part of the subsidized public? Content creators, bloggers, public figures, artists, protesters, lobby groups. It could be anyone.
But regardless of who's behind these false movements, just be aware that it's a very common practice. Those in power will always use that power to keep it. The interests of the people are not important to multi-billion-dollar corporations, and by extension, not important to our elected officials by whom they are heavily funded.
Edward Walker, as well as Neubauer and Graham, talk about subsidized public on more of a macro scale in terms of advocacy consultants and larger organizations. However, I wish to share with you an example at the local micro level. Just a content note, I will touch on homophobia and transphobia. Nothing extreme, just a very basic run-of-the-mill turf. Raylan Fox is a far-right mom in rural Manitoba. In May 2023, she was posting conspiracy theory reels on social media using trending sounds. Raylan Fox's first foray into social media activism was in June that year when she toured her local middle school library in advance of one of her children attending there that fall. Fox took exception to pride flags and queer literature laid out for all to see around the public school library during Pride Month. At the beginning of June, she started out with this hateful BS. Of course, railing against pride flags during Pride Month wouldn't really be the smartest battle to pick, socially or politically speaking. By the end of that month, this small-town mom had graduated to public presentations to the school division's Board of Trustees. At the board meeting, Fox read aloud several passages from what she claimed were books in the collegiate's library that included depictions of sexual acts and sexual violence. How did Raylan's advocacy campaign evolve so quickly? It appears a local politician took her under his wing and began using his resources to help her target her anti-2S LGBTQ campaign towards so-called pornographic books in public school libraries.
This is Patrick Allard, a very right-wing politician who is running as an independent candidate to become a member of the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba.
And although my videos aren't as great as Raylyn, Raelyn Fox, go see Ray's pages. Follow her. She's a mother on fire.
In March 2022, Patrick Allard ran as an independent to become an MLA and lost. Later that year, he tried running for school trustee and lost again. Recently, he's been using his influence to crowdsource additional support and resources for Fox's campaign.
And trying to protect our children. Can you help us? Can you do this? Can you check your school libraries for the list of these books?
Allard connected with Fox in the spring of 2023 when Allard attended various school board meetings around the province to protest against what he believed to be inappropriate books in school libraries. 1 year after Raylyn Fox's unceremonious entry into the world of social media advocacy,
Raylyn Fox is joining us on the show tonight. Raylyn, thank you for being here.
Shadow Davis is an extreme right-wing podcast host right here in Winnipeg who reaches millions of listeners and viewers with his online videos and live nighttime talk show.
Sexually explicit. It does, of course, kind of overlap into that gender ideology category as well. So, yeah, a portion of them are LGBTQ or whatever you want to call it, gender ideology.
Not quite 2 years after her infamous debut,
Wally, we've got a problem in our school system right now. And we've got a young lady named Raylyn who has been leading the charge on getting the word out about pornography in our schools. And she's been making videos, and those videos have been titled, "Those Books Aren't in My Kid's School." And she goes ahead and she reads certain passages from these books in each one of her videos.
Wally here wants to be the next leader of the Manitoba Progressive Conservatives.
And her question to you is, what would you do about getting those books removed?
A government led by me would remove pornography from schools, period.
Done.
Done. I've met her, I've seen what she's talking about, and it's disgusting.
In a very unsurprising turn of events, Wally Doddridge is now using the pornography in schools rhetoric to advance his own political agenda. And we come full circle.
The Conservative candidate, Wally Doddridge, who I'm happy to support.
My definition of subsidized public is a model of advocacy in which a social or political campaign is intentionally made to appear citizen-led and grassroots, but in reality is being supplemented by actors with political agendas and greater resources. I would argue that first Patrick Allard and now Walter Doddridge are both subsidizing Raylyn Fox's advocacy campaign. Allard through his efforts to promote Fox's social media videos and to solicit support from his audience for her book banning efforts. By continuing to frame Fox's advocacy grassroots as expressions from a concerned parent, Walter Doddridge can present himself as a public-serving politician who is speaking up on behalf of these concerned citizens. Rather than addressing difficult social and economic issues, Doddridge can hop on a well-oiled populist bandwagon and allow Fox to reposition his elite-generated talking points as populist common sense.
Very well. If that is the way the winds are blowing, let no one say I don't also blow.